Jason Tanner, protege of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., has been by his mentor's side in New York to spread the message of passive resistance. In Harlem, the epicenter of Black culture, poet Anita Hopkins tries to capture the message of Malcolm X, which she believes with all her heart. The time is now. Enough is enough. When Jason goes to the iconic B-flat lounge and sees Anita perform, he's transfixed. Her passion for what she does runs as deep as his. And Anita has never met anyone who could match her wit for wit like this. Confessions in B-flat, a novel by USA Today bestselling author Donna Hill. Download your copy today, wherever books are sold. A Reader's Paradise podcast, featuring interviews with celebrity authors, audiobook narrators, and readers just like you. So, kick off your shoes, bring your glass of wine, and join us on the beach for some fun, great stories, and literary laughter. Hello, and welcome to another edition of A Reader's Paradise. Say, if you like these author interviews and the literature performances, please take a moment to write a rating and review wherever you listen to podcasts. Your ratings and reviews help others to find the show. Also, stick around at the end of the show for an excerpt from my audio drama called Manhunt and Lenny Gray. You really want to stick around for those two excerpts. Okay. Today, folks, we have a wonderful author with us today. It's a children's book author. Her name is Florenza Lee. And here's just a little bit about Florenza. She is a poet, author, motivational speaker, teacher, narrative coach, mentor, and radio talk show host. Her children's books inspire, motivate, transform, as well as entertain. Her books include Diversity, Mindfulness, Learning to Say No to Negative Influences, and Life Applications of Spiritual Truths. Florenza's workshops teach the power to fuel one's faith with their fears, building a life of purpose, daring to dream, and having the ability to find love after hardship. As a radio talk show host, she asks the question, what's your story? Believing we all have them and share all of God's glory. So, Florenza, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Listen, your voice, if I could put that in a bottle and just add a little side of hot sauce, Lord have mercy.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. You know, I guess that's why I narrate books as well. So,
listen, I forgot what I was doing and where I was. Praise the Lord.
Oh, wonderful. So, Florenza, I'm going to take a page from your book and I'm going to ask you, I know that bio isn't your complete story. So I want to take a page from your book and ask you, what's your story?
Wow. You know, that is such a great question. And I'm going to tell you, it is so different being on this side of that question. I ask it all the time, never thinking, what does it sound like to hear it? You know, I think it's anything. If you live long enough, you're going to have so many chapters to your book. I am a wife. I am a mother. My husband served 31 years in the Army, so that afforded us the opportunity to do a lot of traveling and just different experiences. So I believe that we're all given ingredients, and it's up to us as to what we're going to create from it. I hope in the end that what I've created not only benefits me, but benefits those around me. So I guess that's my story. I'm just out here trying to cook up something. That's it.
Okay. And it also sounds like you're trying to be your best self. You know, with that, we're talking about family and faith and, you know, those sorts of things. So let me ask you this, like, what makes you feel inspired or what makes you feel inspired to live your best self?
There was one point in my life that, for whatever reason, and this isn't knocking the thought, this is just for me, there was one point that I believed in reincarnation. And when that was a thought, there was this sense of doing good, per se, to benefit that next go round here. But then there came a time in which I realized, for me, that this is it. And when you don't look at life as being a dress rehearsal, and you look at it that every single day is a precious gift, then it empowers you to absolutely give your all. And I think that's where I am. I just don't want to leave anything unturned. I don't want to leave any gift unopened. I want to make sure that I absolutely, I want to be like, oh goodness, not Tina Turner, Patti LaBelle. Patti LaBelle sings every concert as if it's her last concert. She leaves nothing on the table. That's how I want to live life. I want to live it Patti style.
Okay. I like that. That could be that's a tweetable. I'm going to live Patti style.
Patti style.
Wow. You know what? That makes me think of this question. Like, I've asked this of other people too, but I'm going to ask it of you. If you could have a billboard with anything on it, what would it say and why?
It would say she did it.
Okay.
She did it. Because if there's a thought that pops into my head, I'm going to do it. Like, I am really going to do it. I just believe that not a thought can come to me that doesn't first make its way through the hands of the Father. And if it comes to me, it's for instruction, it's for action, some type of action, correction, education, improvement. It's for some reason. And I would like for that billboard to say she did it.
That's a good one. And that's so powerful to say. It's like Nike's just do it. Your past tense, she did it. And, that can mean so many things for so many people, that's, who are going through whatever they may be going through. It's the fact that they took the leap and they did it. That is powerful. Yeah. That is powerful right there. And that leads me to, ask this particular question, going on the line of she did it. There are so many people who say that they have a book in them, and they go around and they say, oh, I got a book and I'm going to write the book, but they never do it. With that in mind, what advice would you give to that, procrastinator who has a book in them, but they just have not sat down to do the writing, to do the legwork?
I get that all the time. And if you look on any of my social media sites, there's a term there called book doula. I have a way of helping individuals to birth that book that's down in their soul to do. And I caution people, writing a book is one thing, marketing and selling it is something completely different. And I believe that when people understand those differences and understand that there's work to it. Now, there are some people who strictly just want to write it. They're not looking into publishing it for mass production. They just want to write it. They're going to make a couple hundred copies and give to their friends and families in a Christmas package. Absolutely do it. We all have a story, and our story should be told. I do caution, especially women, primarily women, who want to share a hardship story, to make sure that you're sharing that from a place of healing. Words are spiritual, and if we are sharing the written word that's going to last for eternity, you want to make sure that you're writing it from a place of healing and not from a place of pain. We don't want to re-injure other people in the process of putting our words out there. So that's my greatest caution to anyone, is make sure you're writing from a place of healing, and also make sure you understand the work of authorship, because it's a hustle. It is really a hustle.
And that is so true. Boy, there are a couple of really good nuggets in what you just said. Right from a place of healing is what's resonating in my mind. And that words are powerful, and you don't want your words to injure other people. Now that's a powerful statement. You don't want your words to injure other people. That's a tweetable there. That's really a tweetable there, because I think a lot of us may not think about how powerful our words are, and what we say matters, especially in this polarized time we live in. Politically anyway. Politically anyway. With writing books and being mindful, I never thought about that with my writing. Be mindful that my words may have an impact on people. I knew that they would have impact on people, but I don't think it floated around in my consciousness the way you just put it to us. I think that's very, very powerful. I'm going to have to remember that. I'm going to have to put that on a sticky note in my writing space.
Yes.
So let me ask you this. How many children's books have you written?
Wow. Written is just a crazy number, because I think I'm somewhere between 60 and 80 that are written. As far as published, I have book number 13 and 14 being published as we speak, and 2 more that I'm hoping to get out before the end of the year. And so I'm constantly writing, and then just working with different illustrators to get them out. Children's books are such a bear for the production of them. So those just take a different amount of time and focus.
I have to say, thank you for doing, children's book, and in particular, children's books of color. Mm. Because for me, I'm a Gen Xer, so I'm in my 50s now. And I remember growing up, the children's books that my parents got me, the ones that were available, were like the Dr. Seuss books and Where the Wild Things Are and those sorts of things, those sorts of titles. But there was never, to my recollection, any book that featured children of color that spoke to me. Even when I got to the high school level, and I was, at my high school, when we had so many reading assignments to do, it was always like Agatha Christie books or Nancy Drew books or books like that did not necessarily reflect the experience, the African American experience or the Latino American experience or the Asian American experience. It was very Eurocentric in its content. And consciously at the time, I didn't think anything of it. But as I'm, mature now, I said, man, what a gap that is for our children. So I thank you for, filling some of that gap up and writing in this genre. And let me ask you, why did you choose this particular genre to write in?
There's a funny story that goes with that. Even as I was listening to you, applaud the fact that I have Afrocentric, and most of my characters come from diverse families. So you'll see a lot of blended families, a lot of mixed race families, a lot of diversity in my books. And they have absolutely nothing to do with the storyline as much as they're there for representation. When I started writing, I made a conscious decision that all of my characters would be animals. I just thought that animals transcend all races, all boundaries, all socioeconomic classes. And I entered one of my books into a book fair. And this was my book that at the time was already in 48 states and 30 countries. And it's just a phenomenal book. And I thought, oh, yes, this is a breeze. Let me send them a couple cases of this book. They're going to send me my money. Life is going to be good. They actually sent me back every single book saying that none of the children purchased them because they were looking for books with Black characters on the cover. And my initial thought was, that's stupid. Did I tell you my book was sold in 48 states and 30 countries? But I realized that I had a unique opportunity to share my message. And if something as simple as changing the character would give that message wheels or wings, then I would give my message wheels or wings. And so that's the evolution of the Black characters for me, and the diversity of them. All of my books come to me in dreams or visions, and so they choose me. My books choose me. I don't choose them. I've never sat down to say, oh, I'm going to write a book about XYZ. I am usually minding my own business, and that book comes and drop kicks me in the throat and say, write me or else.
So that's interesting. Let me ask you this, because I'm a writer too. So, I've published a number of titles, and this is a writer's question for you that I want to ask. So this is a question that, a writers have that, do you have a main character that you have written that holds a special place in your heart, and why?
I'm telling you, even at the time of this recording, I am at a book signing. And as I'm sharing with the customers who are coming up, I share with them the characters of the books. I speak as if every single one of them are living, breathing entities, because to me they are. They're real to us as writers. It doesn't mean we're ready for a padded room with a straitjacket, but we give them life. We give them personality. We know what they look like. We know what they like, what they don't like. Even for you, like your characters, they have certain foods that they like, or certain drinks that they like, or certain fragrances, or types of cars, or types of suits. So they all hold a special place in our heart. My Olivia character is probably the one that has resonated the most with me, because she's based off of a real child named Olivia. And so some of the antics that she does are based off this real child who's very precocious. So it would have to be Olivia, the short answer.
Okay, so Olivia is your favorite, character, or that character that holds a special place in your heart. Here's another writer's question for you that, a lot of people that are readers or just, book lovers love to ask. It's a common question. What is your writing process like? Do you write, late at night, first thing in the morning, middle of the day? What is your writing process like?
Don't throw anything at whatever you're listening to read, for your audience. My books, the average children's book was written in 15 to 30 minutes. My chapter books were written in one setting. Because I don't sit to write, and I just write when the story comes, I can be in the shower. I've had to lean out the shower. I've had to wake up in the middle of my sleep. If I'm driving down a road, I have to pull over. Whenever that story comes, that story gets written.
Oh, wow. So it's much quicker than some people may imagine with writing a children's book. Is that correct?
For me, yes. So don't emulate this, because I have friends that take a year to write a children's story. So don't emulate me at all. I just can only tell you my experience.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Some writers have a writing space where, they have to go into a space or a room or a closet or the shed out back or the attic or some place where they can be undisturbed when they're writing. I'm not sure if you have a writing space, because you said you can be anywhere and it happens.
Anywhere.
Okay. So just anywhere. So, sometimes, sometimes my writing space is, on the train, during the commute to work, to the 9 to 5, I sometimes write, I would sometimes write, during that time, especially if the story was strong and coming to me and I just had to get it out. And I look at my books like babies, they're my babies. So I've been pregnant about 20 times already.
Yes. And that's probably the most factual statement in terms of when men understand the process of birth. I believe men who write, especially men who write novels, really do have a feeling of what it's like to give birth.
Yeah, and sometimes my pregnancies have been very long term, and I refuse to give birth to it. But eventually, eventually, that baby had to come forth, in all of its beauty and ugliness. But it came forth and said, "I am here."
Yes.
Do you have a favorite children's author that inspired you in any way?
I really can't say that I do, just because of how I started writing. Since writing, I've just started focusing on other authors in terms of their journey and their voice. But writing is so very new for me. Even though I've done a lot and have sold a lot of books in a short period of time, I'm still learning this process. And so I've not yet developed that palette of favorites as of yet.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. When you were a child, when you were a young kid, I'm going to make the assumption that you were an avid reader. Did you have a favorite kids book that you read when you were young?
I am so glad this is radio and not TV, because I am every shade of purple. So as a 9-year-old, I stumbled upon books like Donald Goins. So
you mean like that, like the guy that the pimp stories?
Yeah. So see, I was not your average child book reading kid.
Okay, all right. But Donald Goins, he had his place in literature.
So I didn't exactly. I read any and everything. I was that child that if you took me to the library, I read everything. I read books that were 10, 20 years ahead of my understanding. I wouldn't let my children do that. But yeah, I read everything. And I want to just touch back on one of your previous questions. I believe that's why I write the children's books that I do, that are age appropriate, that are social emotional learning based, that prompt a child to think strategically, to question things in a different way, but that are still age appropriate and that entertain the child visually, because I didn't have that for whatever reason. I didn't have that. And there is a whole statistic about how many books are available for our inner city children that are age appropriate books. And it's like one book per every 16,000 kids. I mean, the number is insane. That's age appropriate, that's in the homes, not that they have at school or in public libraries, but that they have at home. And I need to look up that statistic again. I just knew it was insane. And I think that's why my conscious thought in packaging the stories, because the stories come to me as they come to me, I do have the ability to package them a specific way. And that's why I focus on how I present the story, so that when children see them, they gravitate towards the book so that they can get that message.
Okay. Here's a question. This is a question that's a little bit more probing and perhaps even a little bit more revealing. All of us as writers, we have, I think, or I'd like to believe that we have that one writer we would love to just sit down and pick their brain and have dinner or lunch with. If there's an author that you could have dinner or lunch with who's either currently living or who has passed on, who would that author be? Special Agent Marshall Turner and the Chicago police are hunting a man for homicide. He's hiding in plain sight. But living as a fugitive is not easy. And Special Agent Turner always gets his man. Manhunt, a new, original audio drama podcast from author Earl Sewell. Now available wherever you listen to podcasts.
That's so odd. That's a good question. That's why you're good at what you do. I stumbled upon an author who caught my attention. Her name is Kim Norman. And when I was doing research about how to market children's books, I came upon one of her books. And then I realized that she is just about 45 minutes from my home. And I reached out to her on social media and I said, hey, I'm just starting this thing here called authorship, and I like what you're doing. She's an older white female, and she said, come to my house. This is my address. And I thought, what?
Wow.
So I did. I took her up on it, and I've been multiple times, and we talk on the phone all the time. So I would have to say Kim Norman, just because she's doing at a level what I hope to one day be doing with my children's books.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool. So let me ask you this, since we're talking about children's books and working on things, what is the current book that you're working on?
Oh, great question. So I do multiples. I have 4 that I am currently working, actually 6, that I'm currently working on. And they are all different subjects, different characters, different age groups. I have the second in the Olivia series, Adventurous Olivia. Adventurous Olivia's Calm Quest is a different spin on mindfulness. I incorporate awareness, gratitude, words of affirmation, the belly breath. I also have Manny and Tutu, which focuses on spending time with our children. It's a little boy's wish that he has, and he captures the Tooth Fairy to grant him the wish. That book is so unique because the main character is Blasian. His dad is Japanese and his mother's Black. And just showing parents that our children really just want to spend time with us and show what that looks like. I also have a Kape, which is Swahili for unicorn. That book features horses and unicorns, and it's one particular horse named Oye, who is different by design, and she comes into her own when she recognizes that her uniqueness is by design. I originally envisioned that being for little Black girls to understand why we're different. Our curves are different, our facial features are different, our hair is different, and to celebrate those differences. I also have Two Bees in a Hive, which focuses on mental illness and mental illness awareness, and it features siblings. And wow, see, that's a hard question because I'm always working on something. So those are the main ones.
Okay, so it doesn't sound like you ever come across the struggle of writer's block.
Never. Oh gosh, I almost wish I could.
So with that being said, would you like to read us a passage from one of your books?
Yes, I would like to read just a few pages from my newest book, Adventurous Olivia's Calm Quest. Hello, it's me, Olivia. Mom calls me Adventurous Olivia. I don't know what an adventurer does, but I am on a quest to find out. Do you want to join me? Then let's go. Where shall we look first? Here? What about over there? Should we search under this? How about behind that? Olivia? Uh-oh, I recognize that tone. Yes, ma'am. I have an adventure for you. It is a quest to locate your calm. Yes, ma'am, I certainly will. Let's go. Do we have to invent a new form of transportation and travel to faraway lands to find it? Where might we find our calm? We have looked everywhere, and we still cannot locate an adventure. What are we forgetting? Think, 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 think. Dad says, when I feel anxious, I should pause and meditate. First, let's find a comfortable place to sit or lay down. This looks like a perfect spot. The grass is soft and prickly. What does it feel like where you are sitting? Dad says this is awareness. We are focusing. Breathe in and out. Do you feel the air entering your nose? Inhaling makes my belly go up, and exhaling makes it go down. As I breathe in, the air is cool. When I breathe out, it's warm. In, out, pause. In, out, pause. Let your belly rise and fall. Follow the air from your nose down to your toes, from the bottom of your feet all the way back up to the top of your head. Sometimes silly thoughts jump into my head like scampering squirrels. When that happens, Dad says to just let them pass right on by. You don't have to chase them. Notice them, but don't respond. In, out, pause. Let your belly rise and fall. Meditating is a perfect time to be kind to yourself. I thank every part of my body, from my itty-bitty nose, from my itty-bitty toes, to my little button nose. Let your attitude be gratitude. In, out, pause. In, out, pause. Let your belly rise and fall. Open your eyes. We did it. We've located our calm. How do you feel? I feel great. Now, let's go on to our next adventure. The end.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that wonderful story. I love it. I love it. I love it. Just the inflection in your voice and the childlike innocence you brought to it. Like, this is going to work. I love it. I love it. I love it. That's a wonderful thing. And I think, mindfulness, I know I most certainly was not taught that in school to, get to a place of calm.
Yes. And there's so much going on right now in our world. It's not just localized anymore. Like, this is worldwide, and our children are struggling to find a sense of balance. And I'm just hoping that through this book in its simplicity, that children are able to just do that, to just pause and breathe and just find a space of gratitude with whatever they have, wherever they are.
Yeah. And, that's really a life skill that people will need throughout their lives. Whether you're in adolescence, you're, middle schooler, teenager, young adult, throughout your 20s, 30s, the more mature the child, the more adult the problem, which will cause more, anxiety and stress. And, that's a skill set that, needs to be learned for people to, say it's okay. Just get to a place of calm and it'll be all right. I know sometimes I meditate, and sometimes the guided meditations that I do say, imagine that you're in an ocean and there is a big hurricane stirring up all of the water on the ocean. There's, wind and rain and, high waves. And on the surface, it is just chaos, but you're below the surface. And you're just floating calmly, looking up at all the chaos. But where you are, it is calm and quiet. And you get to watch the storm pass by. And I think that's just a wonderful thing to, that's one of the things that I do in my guided meditations when things, get a little haywire. I say, this too shall pass. Get to your calm spot, and it may sound funny or foo-foo to some people or whatever, touchy-feely, but it really works when you give it a chance to.
It works. And if for those of your listening audience who purchased the book, it's called an Easter egg, is where you hide pictures from another book into the current book. And there's a page where Olivia is saying, sometimes silly thoughts jump into my head, and you acknowledge them, but you don't have to respond. And how differently would our children be if they're taught that they don't have to respond to thoughts? I hear a lot of times people say, oh, well, you are not going to disrespect me, or you're not going to do this. And the power is in maintaining yourself. Just like you said, you're below that storm. You don't have to ride with the storm. You have the ability to anchor yourself and allow the storm to pass, because it's going to pass.
Yeah. The storm is going to pass. And then you will look back at that sometime later and say, man, I thought that was a storm. That was nothing,
Ooh, don't you know? That's a whole different podcast.
Matter of fact, bring that storm back so I can, to replace this one. I'll take that storm, that life storm now, because, what I'm doing, that past storm that I thought was going to be the end of the world, Listen,
that's like women. I was joking. I was looking at a picture, and I was considerably younger. And I remember when that scale went over like 100 pounds, and I just thought life was going to end. Oh, my God, I'm 107 pounds. How did that happen? What?
Yeah, I haven't seen a weight like that in at least 40 years.
Listen, who are you telling? And it's like, those things that we think are challenging then, and then when you go on in life and you look back and you think, what in the world? Like, my young me would die now with the weight that I'm carrying now. She'd be like, oh no, we're going to end this. If you couldn't take it.
Speaking of, go ahead.
And that's what life is supposed to be, though, that every single trial is not to take us out, but is to strengthen us. And that's the part that you're a Gen X, I'm the last year of the baby boomers. There's something that was lost in the subsequent generations, and that they've not been empowered to survive and to thrive. I don't know where that missing link occurred.
Yeah, I'm not sure where it occurred either, but I think, that's a whole nother podcast and a whole nother conversation. Let me ask you this question. What do you like to do in your spare time when you're not writing or thinking about writing?
Real talk. I am pursuing 2 masters. I work full time as an advocate for our nation's veterans. I work with 4 illustrating teams in 4 different time zones. I own my own publishing company. I am also a narrative coach. I do school visits. I do some other dabbling on the side. I sleep for 3 to 4 hours a day. So that's what I do in my spare time. I sleep.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you got a full plate there. So yeah, sleep would be appropriate. Matter of fact, I remember I do a lot of social media marketing and stuff, and then I write and then I narrate books. And so I have a family social media group where one family member asked me, he says, "Cuz, do you ever sleep?"
Yeah.
And I said, "I'll sleep enough when I'm dead."
Yeah.
Yeah. So with that being said, let us know where we can find you on social media and where people can purchase your work.
My books are sold anywhere that books are sold online. They're at Walmart, Target, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, Amazon. You're able to get autographed copies from, I do have 2 websites that you're able to go to, either Florenza.org, or you're able to go to wordstoponderpublishing.com. If you just put in Florenza Lee on any social media platform, you're going to find me from from Twitter to Instagram to Facebook. The only thing that I have not started doing is TikTok, and I think I'm going to start learning how to talk to my tick. So we will even get that going.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So, Florenza, I want to thank you so much for being with us here on A Reader's Paradise. I truly enjoyed speaking with you and doing this interview.
I have enjoyed you too as well. Thank you for having me.
All right. So you have Florenza's social media information. You know where you can purchase her book. So I highly encourage you to go out and get a children's book for someone you love. Until next time, happy reading. And don't forget, stick around for the excerpts from Lenny Gray and Manhunt.
I've been listening to the radio, Willie said. They talk a lot about black men going to the war as a way to prove that we are men. They say we got to fight for two victories, one against Hitler and one against Jim Crow. Jim Crow ain't going nowhere. That much I can tell you, Curly said with conviction as he smeared away tears that had formed in the corner of his eyes. Then, why should I go fight for a country that don't treat me like I'm somebody? Why fight for a country that treat me real bad? Willie asked. Again, Curly couldn't think of an answer and felt bad because he couldn't provide Willie with the wisdom that he was asking for. Curly could not give what he did not have. So he said, Because that's just the way it is, son. I wish I had a better answer, but I don't. We ain't got no choice in this life. Things just happen, and as a man, well, you just gotta make do the best that you can.
His shabby dwelling consisted of 3 musty rooms, all of which had soiled green shag carpet with matching wall paint. The paint on the walls had chipped and left jagged designs. White pipes from other apartments snaked across the ceiling of his unit like a complicated spider web. The pipes hissed constantly and sprung leaks wherever they saw fit. Luther entered the vestibule of the building and saw his electric bill on the floor with a shoe print on it.